Do you know what a text set is?
We do! Thanks to Sister Catherine!
And we're going to teach you how to build one.
A text set is a versatile tool constructed by a teacher or a team of staff members that can be applied to any grade level and can be used as a means of achieving the goals of a unit of study.
In other words, it's a group of resources, including books, magazines, primary sources, apps, and other multimodal resources that support a whole unit plan.
The focal point of the curriculum is the essential question at the beginning that you create.
So why do we even use text sets?
Text sets allow us to read from multiple perspectives in any content area.
They also allow us to connect one idea to another.
They give us an opportunity to build on prior knowledge.
They capture students' interest because there are different ways students can get engaged.
Text sets also provide more genres and resources for students to learn from.
Now, we are going to tell you the steps to build your very own text set.
So the first step is to choose a topic. The topic should be very broad. For example, when we build text sets, the topics we use, I used the Civil War.
I used emotions.
I used families.
And I chose the topic of bullying. The example we're going to focus today is the topic of bullying. We would like to teach a unit that addresses the topic of bullying, but we would also want to connect it to other subjects and curriculum.
So once your topic has been chosen, you need to develop an essential question.
And essential questions are open-ended, thought-provoking, repeatedly asked core questions that help us make sense of confusing things. If you have any additional questions about what needs to be included, this is a great book to use as a reference guide. It is called Essential Questions by J. McTighe and Grant Wiggins.
For the topic of bullying, a great essential question would be, to what extent does power or lack of power affect individuals? As you can see, this question is very open-ended.
The next step in building a text set is to create a unit planning chart. This will include your unit name, your unit length, core vocabulary, essential questions, 5 guided questions, unit goals, and the Common Core state standards.
Since we already developed our essential question, we can quickly write that into our unit plan. We now need to think of 5 guided questions that will be incorporated into our lessons. These questions need to be open-ended.
For example, I want to brainstorm ideas about bullying. A great way to do this is to create a graphic organizer.
As I think of things incorporated with bullying, Mariah will branch off the middle. The main ideas I came up with included effects of bullying, prevention strategies, coping strategies, depression, health, reasons people bully, types of bullying, places it occurs, power, low self-esteem, Adolf Hitler, war, and cultures.
From the ideas that are branched off, you can finally choose 5 ideas and create your 5 guided questions.
So when writing your 5 guided questions, they should all define what your essential question is. They then will turn into your objectives. All guided questions should be open-ended questions. The 5 guided questions all help with scope and sequence.
From the graphic organizer we just created about topics about bullying, we need to pick 5 of them and create guided questions. So here are some examples of my guided questions. What are different types or ways that people bully? What are different reasons people bully others? How is physical and emotional health affected by bullying? In what ways were some historical leaders considered bullies? And how does culture affect bullying?
From our unit planning chart that's on page 44 of the textbook Teaching with Text Sets, we now have the essential question and guiding questions. The next step is to take our guiding questions and turn them into objectives.
So for the first guided questions, my first one was, what are different types or ways that people bully? I turned that into an objective by saying, the 4th grade students will identify different forms of bullying by creating an all-about poster after completing the thief strategy with 90% accuracy. The second guided question I had was, what are different reasons that people bully others? I turned this into an objective by saying, the 4th grade students will identify reasons people bully by role-playing different bullying scenarios that represents what caused one to bully another with 90% accuracy.
For our unit, Sister Catherine provided us with 5 different language arts strategies to teach. Those were the thieves strategy, cause and effect, main idea, summarizing 2 paragraphs, and integrating information from 2 texts to answer questions.
So to be all prepared, we found 5 standards that correlate with the 5 language arts lessons, as well as the 5 standards that correlate with the 5 guided questions and or the objectives.
The next step in creating your text set is to choose your anchor text. The anchor text should address at least 3 of your guiding questions.
So this is the anchor text that we chose for the topic of bullying, and this text was chosen as the anchor text because it addresses the types of bullying, reasons for bullying, mental and physical health effects of bullying, and also how culture affects bullying, which those hit 4 out of the 5 guided questions.
Congratulations, you're almost done with your planning chart. We now have to think of possible vocabulary words that we will use in our lesson plans.
So some of the vocabulary words I thought of was conflict, bully, victim, power, harassment, bystander, verbal abuse, physical abuse, emotional health effects, suicide, confidence, peer pressure, etc.
So now that we have planned it all out, we now have to find our resources that we are going to be using.
So first you're going to need to find 20 books, 5 magazine articles, 5 multimodal resources, 5 primary sources, and 5 apps that all support the guiding questions.
On page 58 of your text set book, there's a list of websites that you can use to find books that relate to your topic.
Some of the examples of books that we used for the bullying topic include Bullying Under Attack, Hot Issues, Cool Choices, Blubber, Bully Beans, Confessions of a Former Bully,
Surviving Hitler, and Bullying, The Legend of Gretchen.
On page 60 of your text set book is a list of blogs or multimodal resources, websites that you can use to integrate with your text set. As well as on page 66, you have a list of magazine resources, so you can find your magazine articles from these websites or have an idea. On page 69, we have a list of primary source websites that can be used. And on page 72, there is a list of websites that can be used as resources or other information that you can include in your text set. So be sure to refer to your book often when you are looking for websites to integrate resources for your text set. Now that you have all of your resources, it is time to organize all of the resources and create an outline for how you will integrate it into your lesson plans.
There are many different ways to organize your resources. There are 5 different graphic organizers you could potentially use in the Teaching with Text Sets, starting on page 83 through 93. You can use the duet model, found on 83. You can use the sunburst model, found on 85. On page 86 is the tree ring. On page 88 is the solar system model. On page 91 is the mountain model. And that's it.
I chose to do the sunburst model. So in the middle, I put my topic of bullying, and I put what anchor text I was using, so bullying under attack. And then I branched 5 pieces off of that, which were summarizing the 5 guided questions. So types of bullying, reasons for bullying, culture connections, bullying seen in history, and mental and physical health effects. And then all of the resources I found, including books, magazines, primary sources, apps, whatever they addressed, I put off of that branch so that I knew what students could learn from each resource.
So then the next step is to write your 5 lesson plans that teach the language arts strategies as well as integrating the objectives you just created.
Being experienced teachers, you have already prior knowledge as to how to put together a lesson plan and how to create assessments for each of your lessons.
Follow these simple steps and you'll have your very own text set.
Whoop, whoop.